Surah Al-Mubarak Al-Fatiha. Brothers and sisters, before I begin, inshallah, Saturday, on Sabbath, in the evening, we will have the celebration, the jashan, for the Wuladat of Sayyidah Fatima Az-Zahra alayha salam. So everybody is requested to attend, inshallah, this Saturday evening. We'll have this great jashan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين وهو خير ناصر ومعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وآله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة دائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم ذمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد, Mu'mineen and Mu'minat, we continue inshallah with our surahs of the Holy Quran, and today we are covering Surah Yusuf, surah number 12, Surah Nabi Yusuf, inshallah, we will discuss today. This surah was revealed in the Makkah, and it is most likely that it was revealed during the last part of the Prophet's life in Makkah, when the Quraysh and some of the people of Quraysh were trying to attack and were trying to kill the Holy Prophet and take his life. Then this surah was revealed at that time. Thank you, brother. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alihi. It is 111 verses. It is the 12th surah with 111 verses, and it begins with another huruf muqaddi'at, alif, lam, ra. This is the beginning of this holy surah. Now, usually what we do is we talk about the history, the tariq of the surah, then we talk about the contents of what the surah is and the different ayat. But today, inshallah, we will combine it because it's one story, one qissa, one story of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam is this surah. His story begins in verse number 4 and it ends in verse number 101. So almost 90% of the surah is the life of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. And we see that when the Quraysh were challenging, when the Quraysh were trying to attack, when the Quraysh were acting in all kinds of different strategies against the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then this surah was revealed. So it also has some meaning for the life of the Holy Prophet in Makkah with the Quraysh. We see that Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, he has a lot of challenges in his life. He begins his life while he is trying to deal with his brothers. His brothers over there are those who are jealous. They have hasad in their qulub, in their heart, against Nabi Yusuf. When they have this hasad or jealousy, he is trying to deal with that. Second thing, he's very beautiful. And while he's very beautiful, he's very jameel, there are other people who are attracted toward him, and he has to deal with that. Third thing is he's put into prison or sijin. He lives in the sijin for a long time, and he's dealing with other people who forget about him, and he's dealing with that. Then he comes out, and he is an administrator, or he's ala khaza'in al-ard, like the Aziz of Misr puts him, the chief of Egypt, Misr, he puts him upon the administration of the land, and he has to deal with those issues. In the end, his brothers, his ikhwa, his brothers come back to him, and when they come back to him, he has to deal with them, and then Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam comes back to him. So this is the entire story of Nabi Yusuf. But it is not just the story we listen to for the spices and the salt. We say this is a good story, we want to watch this. No. You know, many of you know that a show was made, a musalsal, a serial or a show was made in Iran recently, maybe a few years ago, about Nabi Yusuf. It is in Farsi, it is in Arabic, also in English there are subtitles. So some of us who can watch that, you go back and you think about the hayat and the life of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, and you think about it, but you also have to see the hikmah, the nubuwah, the wisdom, the ilm, the devotion of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alihi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in verse number 7, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي يُوسُفَ وَإِخْوَتِهِ آيَاتٌ لِلسَّائِلِينَ. Ayatun lis-sa'ilin. So there's ayat, they are signs for those who are asking. And these ayat we should pay attention to, my brothers and sisters. How is Yusuf dealing with those things that we might deal with our families, and we'll deal with in our families and in our lives and everywhere else. And it's very important to go back and see the hikmah of Nabi Yusuf. So Nabi Yusuf is the son of Yaqub, yes? Yaqub is the son of Ishaq. Ishaq is the son of Ibrahim. So only a few generations after Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was the 11th of 12 brothers. And his mother was Rahil, or Rachel in English. And she had two sons, Yusuf and his younger brother, Binyamin. Yusuf and Binyamin are two brothers. And some riwayah said that there was also one sister that they had. So these were the two. And the other brothers were jealous of him. The other 11 brothers, the other 10 brothers were jealous of him. And they did not like it because Yaqub paid attention to Nabi Yusuf. And they wanted to do something. Out of hasad and out of jealousy, they wanted to kill him. Or they wanted to put him in ghayabatil jub, in the well. They wanted to put him in the well. And then they said, وَتَكُونُ مِن بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. Verse number 9. That after we do this, after we remove Yusuf, then we will be good people. We will become good people after we remove Yusuf. But their plan backfired, their plan was not successful, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed them and He taught them how they had to deal with Yusuf and what the cost of their mistake was. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alihi. So we see that when they put him in the jub, he is rescued by a sayyara, by a caravan, and these people take him. They say, Ya Bushra Hada Ghulam, this is a boy we can take. And they took him from the well, and they took him to Misr, to Egypt. And in Egypt, he was given some place. There was an Aziz who was a chief, and that chief had a wife. And because he was very beautiful, she became tempted by him. And she, what did she say? وَقَالَتْ حَيْتَ لَكَ قَالَ مَعَاذَ اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ رَبِّي أَحْسَنُ مَثْوَايَ إِنَّهُ لَا يُفْلِحُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept from those people who commit sins, and you are calling me toward a sin, I will not go toward your sin. So he was strong enough to fight his nafs, to do the mubaraza with his nafs, and to remove this temptation that came from this lady. After that, the women of the city were gathered and they made fun of this lady because she was tempted by him. And what did this lady do, the wife of the Aziz? Zulaykha, what did she do? Zulaykha called all of them and gave them sikeen, gave them knives and gave them something, and she said, cut it while Yusuf is passing. When they saw how beautiful he was, they cut their own hands. They were not even able to concentrate. They said, Ma hada illa malak. This is nothing except an angel. This is not a bashar. This is not a human being. Subhanallah. This is the jamal and the beauty of Yusuf. And we have one hadith from the Holy Prophet which says, whoever wants to see Yusuf fi jamalihi falyandur ila wajhi Ali ibn Abi Talib. So the face of Ali ibn Abi Talib is more beautiful than the face of Nabi Yusuf. So this happened to Nabi Yusuf, and he had another choice after that, to go into prison or to stay where he is. And in verse number 33 he says, قَالَ رَبِّيَ السِّجْنُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا يَدْعُونَنِي إِلَيْهِ. He says, oh Allah, the prison, the sijn, is better for me than what they are calling me toward. So the life of the dunya, the hayat of the dunya, being someone who everyone is attracted to, even though his career was successful, he left that and he went to the sijn, because in the prison he would have been more safe from all the temptations and all the evil. While he is in the sijn, there are two people who see dreams, and he interprets the ahlam, the dreams for them. then he says to them, he brings them back toward Tawheed. They say, you are the Muhsineen, you are min al-Muhsineen, you are a good person. And he says, Ya sahibay as-sijn, أَأَرْبَابٌ مُتَفَرِّقٌ خَيْرٌ أَمِ اللَّهُ الْوَاحِدُ الْقَهَّارُ. Is it better to do shirk and believe in many Allahs, many Lords, or is it better to believe in one Allah? So his message of Tawheed, despite the fact he's in a foreign land, despite the fact he's away from his parents, despite the fact that he is in prison and some accusations were made against him, he has the Tawheed and he keeps the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with him. And he became successful, my brothers and sisters. The message of Yusuf is a message of success. When he came out, then the women who had accused him, they said, قُلْنَا حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا عَلِمْنَا عَلَيْهِ مِنْ سُوءٍ مَا عَلِمْنَا عَلَيْهِ مِنْ سُوءٍ. That we did not know any evil thing to come from Yusuf. Yusuf is Tahir, Yusuf is Ma'soom, Yusuf is a pure person who only calls toward Tawheed, and Yusuf is not someone who can commit any sins. This is one story. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us in this surah that his brothers come. His brothers come and they are trading and he recognizes them. And they do not recognize him. وَهُمْ لَهُ مُنْكِرُونَ. They do not recognize him. And what does he do? He deals with them, he trades with them, he tricks them, and he gets Binyamin to stay with him. They go back and they do not have Binyamin once, and the second time they cannot trade. The munya minnal kail. The kail is not given to them, and the trade is not done to them, so they have no trade. They go back to Yaqub and they say, we have no trade, and Binyamin has to be over there. And Yaqub says nothing. Yaqub is silent. What does Nabi Yaqub say? He says, قَالَ إِنَّمَا أَشْكُ بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. So Yaqub is patient too. Yaqub is crying. حَتَّى بِيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ. He cries until his eyes become white for the love of Yusuf. For the love of Nabi Yusuf, who he loved so much, who was the Nabi after him. But he is patient. So whatever trials come, he is complaining only to Allah and he's turning only to Allah. He does not expect anything. This is also a message for us. And then when they go, this is the brothers of Yusuf, when they go to meet him, Nabi Yusuf asked about himself. He says, you had another brother, what happened to him? He says, قَالُوا إِن يَسْرِقْ فَقَدْ سَرَقَ أَخٌ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. If Binyamin is a thief, he's a sariq, then his brother was a sariq before. So they are accusing Yusuf in front of him. They do not know this is Yusuf. This is their character, this is their behavior. Salawat ala Muhammad wa
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And then he introduces himself to them. He says, I am Yusuf. They say, are you Yusuf? He says, yes, I am Yusuf. And the peace is made and Yaqub comes. And the words of Nabi Yusuf are beautiful. He says, أَن نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ إِخْوَتِي إِنَّ رَبِّي لَطِيفٌ لِمَا يَشَاءُ. He says that the shaitan came and he placed something which is hasad, which is jealousy between me and my brothers, and I forgive them and I accept them. So after all these trials in different places, Nabi Yusuf accepts him. And the message, my brothers and sisters, is of patience, of ilm, of hikmah, not to be in a hurry, not to be in a haste, to have sabr. Nabi Yaqub says, إِنَّهُ مَنْ يَتَّقِي وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. إِنَّهُ مَنْ يَتَّقِي. Whoever has taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whoever has sabr, whoever has patience, that person will always be successful. And then the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he is commanded to say, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي عَدُوْ إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. Ana, me and whoever follows me, هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي. I call toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is my path, ala basira, upon basira, with vision. Whoever has vision, let him see that this surah is speaking about the truth, speaking about the haqq. We just touched on some parts, but it's a beautiful story that we should go back to. The fawaid of reciting this surah, the last thing, are many. is that whoever recites this surah, then that person, the mu'min or the mu'mina, will be raised on the Yawm al-Qiyamah with a wajh that is jameel, with a face that is beautiful. If you recite this surah often, then you will be beautiful on the day of Qiyamah. The second thing is, it is recommended, it is mustahab, to recite this surah for the family members. So if you're looking for a surah for your family members, with your children to sit and recite, then it's Surah Yusuf. Because it teaches the family the problems of families, like jealousy that happens, or disrespect of the father that happens, or disrespect of the others that happen. And this is showing the results of that action. So it is recommended for families to recite this surah. One of the benefits is that it increases the rizq and the sustenance to recite this surah. And like other surahs which are recommended on Friday or Thursday, this Surah Yusuf is recommended at all times. All times. Whenever you can recite, as much as you can recite this surah, then inshallah with your families, you should recite it. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our amal, to forgive our sins, to unite the Muslim Ummah, to remove the problems of the Muslim Ummah from inside and outside, to the ta'jeel in the dhuhur of the Imam of our time, and to make us from his ashab and his companions. Wa akhir da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.